access to finance, poor infrastructure, inconsistency in government policies, multiple taxation, and obsolete technology. These are the main challenges facing medium, small, and micro enterprises in Nigeria. Are there interventions from the government to mitigate these issues? Yes. But are they enough? My guest on the program believes these interventions by the Buhari administration, if sustained, can do a lot to help these small businesses, which impact so greatly on our gross domestic product. And thanks to the 75 billion naira MSME Survival Fund, we've seen a doubling of those efforts. Our focus on the nation's capital looks at some of these small businesses that have benefited from the fund and the scorecard of the fund since its inception. We also look at the challenges faced by MSMEs in Abuja and give you a roundup of major headlines from Nigeria's presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. We begin with all the major stories making the rounds from Nigeria's seat of power.
President Muhammadu Buhari gave his last speech as head of state to the 77th edition of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the United States. Aside from the speech, he held several bilateral meetings and addressed some foreign investors at the Nigerian International Economic Partnership Forum. Meanwhile, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, returned to the country after attending the funeral of the late Queen of England. Representing President Muhammadu Buhari at the ceremony, Professor Osinbajo joined world leaders as the late monarch was committed to Mother Earth. Former President Goodluck Jonathan says those contesting in the 2023 general elections have the biggest stake in protecting Nigeria from destruction. He stated this at the 2022 Peace Conference organized by the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation.
Both those who want to be presidents and governors or hold other offices, and their supporters should first know that we need to have a nation before whoever you are supporting can emerge as a governor or a president. We must discourage this issue of hate speech, this propaganda that is going on, because before this time, we were always afraid of the gun as a threat to democracy. But the biggest threat to democracy now that we have is the issue of propaganda, fake news, and hate speech. And anybody that's an advocate of this, a vanguard of this, then you are a threat to democracy just like the gun.
The federal government is promising to adjust the salaries of civil servants in Nigeria to reflect the current economic realities, as the global inflation rate renders the new minimum wage inadequate. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, gave the assurances at an event to mark the 40th anniversary of the Nigeria Labour Congress.
The 2019 Minimum Wage Act now have a clause for review, but before then, there must be an adjustment of wages to reflect what is happening in the economy.
The National Assembly resumes plenary after a 6-week recess, and this time the sessions were held in a makeshift auditorium for the Senate and House of Representatives. Their main chambers are undergoing renovations. Nevertheless, the Senate confirmed the appointment of Justice Kayode Ariwoola as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria, who has been in acting capacity since the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad on the 27th of June 2022.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Kayode Ariwoola for appointment as the Chief Justice of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Staying with the judiciary, the National Industrial Court has ordered the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to call off its ongoing nationwide strike, pending the determination of the suit filed against it by the federal government. However, the lecturers are appealing the ruling. The ruling All Progressives Congress has no candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District. As the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC releases the final list of candidates for the 2023 Presidential and National Assembly elections. The list contains the names and particulars of candidates for various national elections, specifically candidates for the presidency, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Still on the 2023 elections, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Al-Kalibaba, is asking officers and men in the force to maintain neutrality and display core professionalism and fairness in their dealings with all parties and in accordance with the Electoral Act. He was speaking during a strategic meeting with senior police officers.
I assure all citizens and the international community of the optimal preparedness of the Nigeria Police Force to support the Independent National Electoral Commission in ensuring a peaceful electoral process that will manifest in a credible outcome of the 2023 general election. I, however, recognize that the police cannot achieve this alone. The understanding and support of all citizens, strategic political actors, and the international community remain vital. We must leave no citizen in doubt of our commitment to national peace and security, as well as our unwavering determination to advance the democratic and national security interests of our beloved nation. The 2023 general election, the processes leading to it, will certainly put us to test in this regard. Any unauthorized quasi-security agent found to be engaging in any election or political activities stands the risk of being arrested and prosecuted along with their collaborators. Redirect your intelligence activities to monitor possible elements that might be attempting to threaten the electioneering campaign process. Promptly isolate them and frustrate their illegal and undemocratic intentions.
And Nigerian troops have traced 14 million naira deposited in a bank account by a terrorist financier named Alhaji Abubakar and have arrested 2 terrorist collaborators who tried to withdraw the fund. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Danmadami, disclosed this during the bi-weekly media briefing at the Defense Headquarters.
Troops of Operation Hadenkai, Theater of Operation, have sustained aggressive operations to deny terrorists freedom of action. In furtherance of this, troops conducted fighting patrol, ambushes, and clearance operations at communities, villages, and towns in Kukawa, Mongonu, Kaga, Dekwa, Biu, Dambwa, Goza, Mafa, Kwanduga, Bama, and Guzmala local government areas, all in Borno State. Of significance was the neutralization of 2 key Boko Haram terrorists and Islamic State of West African Province commander on the 12th and 19th September 2022, identified as Abu Siyawa and Abu Abada. Troops neutralized 36 terrorists, rescued 130 civilians, and arrested 64 suspected Boko Haram terrorists, as well as 12 suspected Boko Haram and Islamic State of West African logistics suppliers. Troops arrested 2 suspected terrorist collaborators at Access Bank, PZ branch in Zaria local government area of Kaduna State, while trying to withdraw the sum of 14 million naira deposited in the account by Alhaji Abubakar, a suspected terrorist financier. Troops neutralized 16 suspects, 10 terrorists, and arrested 10 notorious terrorists at different locations in Chukum local government area of Kaduna State.
Welcome back. Let's talk business. Medium, small, and micro enterprises, to be precise, the backbone of Nigeria's economy. In 2019, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics stated that a total of 41.5 million micro, small, medium enterprises in Nigeria contribute 47.8% to the country's gross domestic product. That's 96% of Nigeria's businesses and 84% of employment in the country. This is a sector not to be toyed with. A sector that needs all the assistance it can get, especially in these times we're in. One of such interventions is the MSME Survival Fund. And in our focus on the nation's capital, we listen to his scorecard since the 75 billion naira fund was created in September of 2020. There's more in the next report.
Artisans from different parts of the Federal Capital Territory are here for the 30,000 naira grant promised by the federal government as part of the plans to cushion the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. The recipients applaud the government for the scheme, but like Oliver Twist, they are asking for more.
This is the first time, whether you believe it or not, we see a government that cared for the artisans. This is the first time we see a government that decided to bring themselves down to our level. So we have to have patience. We have to have patience. We have to have patience. We did not force them to come and snap us. We did not force them, to pay those they have paid. We did not force them to come here today. So let us be patient. The one we are dealing to you people, those of you from the government, is that many have gotten and many have not gotten. Please take our message and our cry back to the government that we thank them for the one they have done, but we are still appealing to them to pay those that have been captured, and those other people that have not been captured, they should make arrangements that those people will be captured. We are begging, we are not quarreling.
The Artisan Support Scheme, which is a one-off grant, is just a part of the MSME Survival Fund program, which is in its last phase. So far, the federal government has disbursed over 56 billion naira to owners of micro, small and medium businesses across the country.
As you all know, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a drop in demand for corporate and household products and commodities in Nigeria, just like it did in other parts of the world. It is in response to this that the Guaranteed Offtake Scheme was conceived as part of the federal government's interventions to assist small and growing businesses that were negatively affected by the pandemic. It is important to inform you at this point that this track had an initial target of 100,000 MSMEs across the country. We opened the portal sometime in February, just for a short period, and by the time the portal was closed, we had received a total of 65,976 applications across the country, out of which we have verified and pre-qualified 50,032 MSMEs that were presently processing to offtake their products.
The MSME Survival Fund Scheme, which was approved by the Federal Executive Council on July the 1st, 2020, falls under the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan. According to the federal government, over 85% of the target for the program has been achieved. 66 billion naira has so far been disbursed to over 1.25 million beneficiaries nationwide. 85% of them are women and 2% are people living with disabilities. The anticipated impact of the program was to directly engage 100,000 MSMEs in the production sector alone and save at least 1.3 million jobs. The scheme further set a special target of 4 to 5% for female-owned MSMEs and 5% for those with special needs. The target beneficiaries for the scheme were self-employed entrepreneurs and micro and small businesses registered in Nigeria. However, the federal government acknowledged that there were challenges encountered during the implementation of the program.
19,928 beneficiaries failed to deliver their items after receiving the initial 30,000 naira, which was a sort of mobilization fee, thereby breaching their contract with the federal government. STECO has directed the appropriate agencies to commence the process of recovering such monies and possibly prosecuting the defaulters, as they have blocked the chances of many MSMEs that would have benefited from the scheme.
Beneficiaries who made judicious use of the interventions are given certificates of excellence.
My guest on the program is the Special Advisor to the Vice President on MSME, Mr. Tola Johnson. He believes the interventions for MSMEs by the Buhari administration could make our MSME space one of the most productive on the continent if these interventions are sustained. He tells me 2022 is the year they double down as an administration to ensure this. Mr. Johnson, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much, Kela.
Now, you've done so much in the past few months. You said in your report that you've met 85% of your set targets. Talk to us a bit about the target set for MSMEs and what are the experiences you've picked up along the way?
The overall scheme, that's the survival fund, had the payroll support. And in the payroll support, we were meant to, it was with a target of 500,000 MSMEs. We were meant to support their salaries every month. 500,000 MSMEs.
That's with the payroll support system?
Yes. We're supposed to support their salaries, augment whatever their institutions were paying them every month for 3 months. So, for instance, if you're paying somebody about 100,000, we'll add 50,000 naira to that 100,000. So you pay them 50,000, basically. Government will give you 50,000 every month for 3 months for 10 people in your institution. And we did that. For the artisan scheme as well, that was we had a target of 333,000 across the country. We also promised MSMEs that we're going to register 250,000 businesses free of charge for MSMEs. So these are business names. You see, there are a lot of MSMEs operating, but do not even have a business name. So during our clinics, as the VP moved around the MSME clinics, so we had said that at some point, it would be nice for the federal government to try and help these people. So we went into a partnership with CAC and said to us that give us this, the CAC will register this at normally about 12,000. We said to them that give us a discount as government, because it's government to government. We'll give us a discount and we'll register 250,000 business names free. With this particular survival fund schemes, most of those targets that were set, we are ensuring that we meet those targets. The ones we have not met, we're running around to see how we can meet those targets.
Go to places like Borno or Adamawa, Yola, all those places, and actually see the reality on ground. And that brings me to my next question, really. Correct. These support schemes, are they sufficient for people at that level of society, people who have very small businesses? Have they been able to key into these programs of the government? Okay.
These supports were meant for them. So in trying to ensure that we got to our target audience or our target markets, we went about our media and publicity aggressively. So Smed and who was handling our logistics and media, they were going state by state, ensuring that the key Nigerian languages such as Yoruba, even Pidgin English, Hausa, Igbo, they were ensuring that they were pushing out our messages to ensure that people got these messages. And aside from the regular media on TV, so, on newspaper, they were sending out people to go and speak to people to let them know that, listen, this is from government. You need to apply for these things. Share facility. You need to apply for these things, basically. So, but in answering your question directly, we have seen positive response to this scheme. You see, you need to see the joy when people collect 30,000 naira and they call you that, oh, we've gotten this money. When are we paying back? We say, no, it's a grant. It's to support you.
And I remember the last time we spoke about this, I was saying, isn't there a call for this to be extended?
So for the clinics, we have done 28 so far. We have about 8 left for the clinics. Now, for the shared facilities, the plan is always for the federal government to work with the state government to have one position in the state.
How does it work? How does the shared facility
work? What happens is that the shared facility will go to the states and ask, we ask the state to let us, to show us around clusters that are sustainable, where you have gathering of SMEs doing almost the same thing, but they are lacking in equipment. So we come into that cluster with our private sector partners, then they provide those equipment. Because it will not be nice for you to, as federal government, just go into a state and say, okay, this state we are giving you fashion, and there's no fashion cluster there. It will not be sustainable. In 6 months down the line, that cluster facility will be dead. So we want something sustainable. In Anambra that we just launched, those people have been there for years.
What business?
The shoe cluster. They've been there for years. So this is a cluster of almost 20-something thousand people.
What markets did you look at there?
Ugbonike. So this is a cluster of almost 20-something thousand people. So they're coming there day and night, every day to come and either somebody's producing shoe, somebody's producing soap, somebody's producing something related. So that's what we try to do. And we now encourage the states to do in 2 other senatorial zones. So for it to actually make the sort of impact you want in the states, it would be nice if you have 3 different clusters, that are related to what people are doing. So once we've done that as a federal government, we encourage the states and talk to our partners to try and see if they can actually ensure that they commission another one in another senatorial zone. So you have 3 in each senatorial zones in each state.
You haven't answered my question about, calls for this to continue.
Oh, yes.
Because this shouldn't be a one-off situation. Yes. This is what governance is. Yes. It should be continued. Is there a plan?
Okay,
is there a plan to sustain this?
Okay, so there's been, I'm aware that there's been several calls from several quarters for us to continue the survival fund, some aspects of the survival fund, especially the payroll support and the artisan support, basically. So His Excellency is studying, he's looking at it, and I guess in due time, you'll get back to the public on that.
Would you want it to continue?
Oh, these are very popular schemes. So if data shows that MSMEs are still in need, because we need to work from data to results. If data shows that the impact of the COVID-19 was so bad that our 3-month support was good enough, but can be better if we do maybe additional 3 months or additional 6 months or thereabouts. And if we're able to back that up with solid data, I'm sure His Excellency will look at it.
Well, Mr. Johnson, it's a lot of work that you've done, and we'll be keeping up with you to see how it goes in the months ahead. But thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to my guest, Mr. Tola Johnson, and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. The truth is, Nigeria is a country of micro-enterprises with 41.4 million micro-enterprises as of 2019, and that accounts for 99.8% of the MSME space. Small businesses and medium enterprises make up just 0.2% of that space. Wouldn't it be a fatal mistake for our country if these businesses fail? Imagine the rise in crime that would most certainly be a fallout of these businesses crashing. Imagine a country where 41.4 million businesses shut down, rendering added millions of people unemployed. It may not look like your problem right now. Oh boy, it most certainly will be your problem then. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. See you next time.